Shinehead, now that all my recorders are set up and running, I just want to begin by, if it's okay with you, by just officially telling you it's just an honor to meet you. As I told Flair Lindsay, who so graciously helped to set this up, you've been one of my favorite artists since my teenage days. It's so irene, it's so surreal. It's just incredible to be here today with you at Kingston 12 Hi-Fi Sound System in downtown Los Angeles. And I want to thank you and Buttahfly, DJ Papalotl for the invitation. Say it again.
DJ Papalotl, yeah.
For the invitation and for your time.
Yes, sir.
Shinehead, I know, of course, you know this, but just by way of introduction, and for everyone who might later read or later catch this interview on the Reggae Vibes YouTube channel. Welcome, DJ Papalotl.
Thank you.
And so, apart from the fact that, I know you know this, but apart from the fact that I was personally jamming to your early album since my youth, it's a joy to get this chance to reason with such an undeniably unique.
It's a joy to be alive just to do this shit.
Talented and versatile artist.
Give that.
In the reggae industry. And indeed, feel free to correct me or just interject. Because I just want to note some of your musical achievements, and you just tell me if I'm wrong or incorrect about anything.
First of all, let me interrupt you and just say, earlier, it's not on the recorder, but it's being recorded now. Buttahfly, if you would notice Steven's umbrella, that is just flushing, royal flush with the sneakers, right? Me retire from sneakers, but damn, we gotta talk about that. Yo, notice the royal flush of the sneakers with the umbrella, with the bandana.
But I'm disappointed.
With the hat.
I'm disappointed that you missed the roster.
Oh, you just held your hand up. You just held your hand up just now.
I gave this to Lee. I gave the same ring to Lee Scratch Perry, and he wore it for a little while until he passed. But,
Scene. May he rest in peace and rise in power. You know what I'm digging right now also, Buttahfly and Steve? The fact that I get to talk into not one but two cassettes spinning round and round, round and round, looking like cassettes. See, you got me right here.
I'm old school.
You got me right here. So the joints playing in the background go perfect with these two cassettes on this phone and this iPad. They got me. I'm 5 years old right now.
And it's also on this one too.
That's
right. But you're digital.
That's a little small digital.
You ain't got no throwback to you, so you know. Okay, so all right, I'm not going to interrupt the interview anymore.
You feel free to be you. Now
this is the bomb.
Let's start with the fact, Shinehead, that you've been in the industry, correct me if I'm wrong, for more than 40 years now, true?
About 42, going on 43 this year.
And I believe just last year that you turned 60 years old, correct?
That is correct.
Wow, respect.
Thanks. I don't feel it though. I feel 27-ish and 30-ish.
He's not 60, he's sexty.
Sexty. Thank you, dear. Thank you. I forgot a word I made up. Can you dig it?
No. Now to list of just a few more of your accolades, in addition to this longevity that you have as a professional performer, you have at least 6 full-length studio albums. And these you put out between 86 and 1999.
Yes.
And you have several compilation albums, and you have many wicked singles that you put out since.
Thank you.
In addition to all that, and you were, not to puff you up, but it's true, you were undeniably either the first or among the first artists to pioneer fusing or mixing reggae, hip-hop, and R&B.
Yes.
Now, because it's true. Now, it's a bit of a tangent, but I myself have a Marlin track, and I cycle. And based on my research about you, Shinehead, my understanding is that a lot of the interviewers have asked you, how do you stay so fit and healthy all these years? And I believe that you said that one of the things that you and Buttahfly do is you cycle. You ride bikes.
Well, we haven't ridden bikes together yet.
No, we never have.
But Buttahfly is an avid exerciser.
Nice.
And although I haven't been on a walk with her in a long time, she does exercise. And I must say that I've invested in the exercise department in my teenage years. and it's actually paying off now. And I haven't ridden in a while, but we still do our exercises. And being that you mentioned staying fit all these years, allow me to show you one of the reasons why.
Oh, I think I know what he's gonna take out.
There's like a bag of tricks.
What if I gonna talk shit and say I haven't ridden in ages?
Oh man.
But fuck that.
Respect.
This is all in the photo shoot. Can't nobody tell
Yes.
me nothing.
In fact,
This
is
you
what I
want it
want.
over here or you want it over there? It looks good, doesn't it? It looks good,
It's
doesn't it?
beautiful. I'm gonna take many pictures of it after we're finished recording.
So this is the machine,
Yep.
the bike
Yep.
that is on the back
Yep. Of the rough
and rugged album.
Respect.
They gotta know that. See,
Yes.
Pussy, pretty.
And that's so dope that you still have it. And I'm so glad that I'm gonna be able to take pictures of it. And I'm hoping also that afterwards I'll take some pictures of your super dope setup here. You have some super dope speakers and equipment, and so I'll have to take and capture it, maybe even some short video clips of you explaining what it is that I'm looking at. But later, if it's okay.
Yeah. What you're looking at is what keeps me sane, dignified, and young.
Respect.
And the iceberg on the cake, not the icing, is when I met Buttahfly.
Yeah.
Who is a very business-minded lady, because originally she's a teacher and a DJ. Go figure. Go figure. Oh, yeah, right. Scene and being very teacher-minded and ship-shape and like academically disciplined is like when I met her. Like if I'm gonna get with her, then shit, like gotta get joked to stay up. You know what I mean? And do all the discipline, the grown-up stuff, because
adult responsibility.
Yeah, them things. Artists are flaky. You know us artists are flaky. That's the default. Can I go to that?
Now, Shinehead, another thing that in my wildest dreams I never thought that I would get the chance to do in my life, so I give thanks for this, is to ask you this question. And it's a fact I was discussing with my barber, Keenan, say his name, just yesterday. We were talking about this. And this is the genesis of your stage name, Shinehead.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah,
so, because in fact your legal name, just to be clear and accurate, is Edmund Carl Aiken Jr. Accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. And my mind was absolutely blown when you talked about this, because I didn't know about this, and I watched this interview that you did, an extensive interview everyone should also watch in addition to consuming this interview right here. But you did an interview with a Canadian interviewer who goes by the name of Muscle, for Two-Line Music Cut, right? And my mind was blown when you were talking to him about this. And you said that you came up, well, let me ask you this. Let me just ask you to tell the story. How did you come up with the stage name Shinehead? Because I heard you talk about this. I'm happy to remind you of what you said.
Yeah.
How did
all right. Just so, because see, a liar gotta have a good memory. See, so that's why I only tell the truth, and I'm getting older. I'm still kind of youngish, but I am getting older.
Do you also tell the truth when you lie, even when you lie?
See, my memory, I can't tell lies like that.
Just remember you're talking to a lawyer. So I just want to explain. I was a former lawyer. I retired from practicing law, but
for a minute there, you said my name like a detective. Did you hear that?
Civil,
criminal
family,
defense.
criminal.
Yep.
See, there was something how he said my name and shit, like a docket, like a docket. My spider sense went off.
That would be a prosecutor. No, I was on the other side. A prosecutor would say it like a docket. No.
Yeah.
But
I came up
how
with
did
the
you
name?
come up with the name?
Well, unfortunately, at the time, Fathead just died, and at the time, it was all about Fathead and Yellow Man. And then
whose birthday it is today?
Right. Happy birthday, Mr.
Respect.
Foster. Yes.
Yeah.
And then you had a rising piece of lightning on Jack Ruby Sound in Ocho Rios named Bobby Culture.
Wow.
And then before that, now I'm listening to this tape, this 90-minute tapes. Santa Rankin let me hold this big 12-inch JVC box back in the day. So I walked from Davison to Fordham Road, and I'm listening to this one dude for like 90 minutes, then turn it over. and this was Brigadier.
Jerry. Yeah.
Now, a little bit before Fathead died in Miami, the whole Stereophonic crew got wiped out in 1980. See, so I'm looking for a name now while I'm mourning these artists that I never met.
Right.
See, and I'm looking for a name. And like, so what you gonna name now? Like Echo 2, Junior Echo, what? Junior Culture, Briggy Junior, just.
And you're thinking about this in New York, right?
Yeah, in the Bronx, in the bathroom, in my mama's apartment. Me and my mama and my sister.
This is the part
together.
that started to blow my mind.
Yeah, right. And I'm in the mirror with the brush. Yeah. Right, and the new now, right, and the pantyhose, because do-rags wasn't really up on do-rags yet, but that sheer nylon support pantyhose is no joke if you want to get your beehive spinning. Yeah, just so y'all know.
Control top.
You strive for the perfect beehive, right?
Yeah, control top. You gotta cut the scissors just right and don't get no snags. So that's how you get the waves down at the back. Cause some folks ain't got no waves at the back of the scissors. Right. See, you gotta spin the whole thing. So yeah, the support pantyhose. And I'm brushing in the mirror. Now, what name am I gonna use now? Echo 2? Nah, that's Fat. Nah. I'm brushing and I'm looking at my joints and I'm like, the name just is like, I got hit in the back of the head and then it spilled out my mouth. Boom, Shinehead. And so the first time I uttered it, because like around the neighborhood, when I used to go to the local sound system parties, there was a joke, oh, I'm heads are shine. And I never took it as nothing because I was proud to hear that because I work hard to get these waves, you heard me? Zine. So, meanwhile, back in the apartment, I'm still trying to come up with a name, and then it's just like, Shinehead. I start dying with uncontrollable laughter. See, so check the notes, see if I'm still telling the truth.
You are. You told it exactly right. Yeah.
See, I walk down the hallway to my sister's room.
Mm-hmm. Can I pause for just a second?
Yeah.
Your sister's Starfire.
Starfire, yes.
And she is also a reggae artist?
Yes.
Okay. Please continue.
Yes. Starfire and Shango Trex. Yes. That's my brother. See, and I go in Starfire's room, and I said, Shinehead. And that was the second piece of bust a gut laughing. And I'm still wild, never missed a brush stroke now.
Why
you're right. Get all this. And that was the second time in my life I said that. And I just started uncontrollable laughter. And then I went back in the bathroom and looked in the mirror again and said it a third time and kept brushing, had the little brush, looked back, so you can see the back and the sides, and I'm like, Shinehead. And the waves, you gotta understand, is not just amping up to be shiny, but they're amping up my ego.
Right.
Right? Because it's hip-hop, b-boy, jam season, and Shinehead. Because previously I wasn't Shinehead.
You were EC.
So you still work with the justice system or something?
No. I just a lucky guess.
Zine.
Yeah.
I was EC.
Right.
In the hip hop world, because we used to leave Davidson Ave, 174th, and go down to Harlem world. So I called myself trying to enter competitions, and I did.
Right.
And I didn't do badly at all. I got forwards, yo. I'm a nobody, and I got forwards in Harlem World in '82. By the way, the only person called me on that one day when I got signed was Red Alert. Just caught me in my tracks.
DJ Red Alert.
Because I thought nobody was up on that.
Nice.
And so my name was EC, and there was Furious 5, Busy B, the big boys already. But records did not get made yet. Unfortunately, that came to a close when, well, it got shot up.
The one thing I want to ask about your nickname before I move past that is just, did anyone try to dissuade you and say, You know, because I was thinking, you know, I guess you hadn't met African Love yet, but maybe you'd met Tony Screw, and I'm going to get to both of them. But you know, did you say it to anyone and they said Shinehead? Nah. Or did everyone just say? Because most people don't have, you know, as I think about the people I've interviewed in the past, most people don't come up with their own names. Most people have their names bestowed upon them.
Yeah.
It's a childhood thing or something. But you actually, creatively, wonderfully, I think it's such a name that everyone immediately knows who we're talking about. It's you. Yeah. So it's just such a great creative moment that you came up with that name. But did anyone try to dissuade you from the name?
Ah, man.
That you can remember.
That's weird, yo. That's weird. That's very weird because I just have an aunt that just died, and her name is Auntie Madge, and there is a niece that was my cousin named Irma, and I happened to be riding from the Bronx through Harlem one day, and it was 8th Street and 145th. As soon as you cross the bridge from the Bronx.
Right.
And at the corner, crossing the street, was my cousin Irma. I was on my bicycle. I said, "Hi, Irma," and you know, we talking and whatnot. She said, what you gonna do with your life? And I said, well, I'm gonna be a DJ, and I'm gonna name Shinehead, nice. And that's that.
Wow.
And she laughed, and I didn't mind, but Irma died giving birth.
Wow.
Then another cousin of mine, cousin Junior, who was the son of my Auntie Madge that died, when I said it to my cousin Junior, he used to be a boxer, because there's 2 juniors in our family. When I said it to the boxer Junior, like he didn't really diss it, but like he was busy in the streets, not trying to hear nothing but some hustling.
Wow.
Up the block on 149th or 145th, up the hill, up on St. Nick, and next thing you know, cousin Junior got shot. Dead.
Man, I'm so sorry to hear that.
So I don't know if it's a coincidence or it has anything to do with anything, but I just don't say it anymore. I just go out and be Shinehead.
Nice. Well, I so appreciate you telling me that, and I often ask artists too, what was the reaction to their family when they told them they were about to become a musician, whether or not it was a positive thing or not. So that's kind of interesting to hear about. But I understand. Let me ask you this, just to go back to some of the beginning times. And just to make sure I have it accurate about your background, Shinehead.
And the irony now is there's musicians in the family emerging.
Nice.
Linking me up, yeah.
Nice.
Sound system guys, artists.
Nice.
The irony.
Now, the question I wanted to ask to start just about your background, just to make it clear. You were born in North London, from what I understand.
Yeah.
And your sister, both you and your sister.
Yeah.
And your parents are Jamaican.
Yep.
But they moved to England, true?
Yep.
And then I understand your family moved back to Jamaica when you were 5. And then, so your childhood years...
September 1967.
You remember exactly. So your childhood years were mostly spent in England and Jamaica. Accurate?
England
and Jamaica.
Jamaica and the Bronx.
And just to nail down that early chronology again, in 72, I understand, is when you went to the Bronx and you did a year, like 5th grade.
5th grade, yeah.
Then you end up going back to Jamaica, and then eventually you move in 76 to the Bronx permanently.
Yes, that is it permanently. Yeah.
Okay. And I was curious, what did your parents do for work such that your family traveled so much in your formative years?
My dad was a civil engineer, and my mom was a registered nurse, heading for studying to be a counselor, and then NYU, PhD, stuff like that.
Cool. And with all that childhood traveling that you did, and you were traveling between worlds of cultures, from England to Jamaica to New York, Jamaica again, and then finally to New York. Did you have culture shock a lot growing up and feeling, not quite fitting in with your surroundings? And let me tell you why I'm asking the question. Because I was really kind of listening to what people think generally is one of your biggest songs, if not the biggest, which is Jamaican in New York, which is really a song about having trouble, fitting in as an alien.
And how do you, okay.
And so I was curious whether, because you sing it, and your song is, in my view, no disrespect to Sting, is better than Sting's. And but I'm just curious, whether part of your ability to express that song so great came from, having that kind of experience where you had in your
It came from all those experiences, and I'm too young to have culture shock. When you're a kid, you're not so much gonna have, aside from the friends that you meet every time you relocate,
right?
I guess children are built for that, where okay, move around, soak it up, move around, soak it up.
Right.
So I moved around and soaked it up in a positive way and
put it into your music.
You're right, and put it back out and harnessed it and directed it in a positive way in the music. And then fast forward, I'm in New York where I like jazz and I like rock, hard rock. And then there's jazz fusion, and there was this jazz radio station, and they played a lot of that. And they played a lot of Police, a lot of George Duke, Bob James, like this.
Right.
Billy Cobham, etc. And one of the songs was Englishman in New York.
Right.
To the point where I made cassettes off of that jazz station. Like I did off of Hot 97, like I do off of 98.7. I made, on the weekends back in the day in the Bronx, I stayed home and made my cassettes off the radio, pause button, without missing a beat, without anybody talking in it, on time, at the drop of this dangerous finger right here.
Now, I didn't do it nearly as much as you, but I did it for PGC, which is in Maryland. I grew up in Maryland, D.C. area. We had 95.5 PGC.
Scene.
But I used to do that too.
I think we were all doing it. I think we were all waiting for the
technology.
For the disc jockey to shut up already.
Right, or the commercial to be over.
The pause button because you still want to get the intro.
and in my tapes, when you listen back, you didn't hear the tick. Remember that?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
I have to ask him a little bit more about this song because the song is so dope. The Jamaican in New York.
Yeah.
And the video is so dope too. You're in like a flower suit. I mean,
I was wilding. I was bugging out.
Did someone? Let me ask. Who told you to get in a flower suit for the video? And do you remember that?
I was with whatever the label at the time. The label they didn't go too overboard, and they presented this to me, and there wasn't nothing wrong with it. I went with it because I like to go out there anyway.
Yeah.
I like to go out there anyway. But the Sting song I heard a lot on CD 101.9, along with a lot of other great jazz fusion songs that I like, and I knew it long time. And then my manager at the time, Claude Evans, say, "Yo, why don't you try it? Slap that with Norman Cook scene." And like, I don't know if anybody knows if I knew the song or not, or did not know the song, but I've been watching that song for a long time because it's a song I like to hear on my cassette.
Have you ever met Sting and talked
Met
to
Sting at rehearsal for Sun Splash Tour.
Yes.
I was introduced to Sting by the late great Tony Johnson at SIR Studios on Sunset Boulevard.
Did he know your song?
I think he knew my song because he knew who I was, so he knew I did that. We greet each other, a pound and all of that.
I was so happy that you met him.
And I think I met him another time in a studio in Manhattan, New York.
Nice.
But like I was coming in and he was going out. But we hailed each other and
Now I'm curious because I'm in my reggae researches and various things, and also because of my legal background too, I'm just curious about this. Did you remember whether you had to get permission from Sting to cover that song, or did you guys? How did that work? Do you know?
All the publishing goes to Sting because it was sung nearly verbatim.
Right.
So all the publishing goes to Sting.
I see. So he gets that. So he wouldn't complain about that, obviously. But now, I jumped into Jamaica and New York, but let me rewind the tape of your life and career just a second. And I believe you said before, Shinehead, that growing up in Jamaica was the best time in your life, and that being around your Uncle Winston from Kingston Sound System, Soul King Disco.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Right?
That's right. Yeah.
It
sounds
70s.
like a rhyme that ain't true, doesn't it?
No, but I believed it up as soon as I
Uncle
heard you say
Winston
it.
from Kingston, 1971. So it sounds like a rhyme that ain't true, right?
I 100%
Guess
believed
what?
it from the start.
It's true.
Yeah. And he had a system that when he played his bass, the red, gold, and green lights would show.
I'm still trying to do that to this day. I'm waiting on
I was
Mike.
going to ask you if you had set that up yet.
Well, it's being worked on because...
So next time when I come back, you'll be able to do that.
Hopefully, because the guru for this sound system, his name is Mikey 10. Mikey 10 is the builder and the supervisor for all sound systems that's worth listening to in the United States and Jamaica, Canada, and probably England and Mexico. He's in Brooklyn, New York, and every so often he comes to the conventions down in Orange County.
The NAM?
Yeah, the NAM. And like, if the big boys like Fergo Digital or Black Star of Los Angeles, they need help, they send for Mikey 10. So Mikey 10 is working on them bass lights for me.
Now, nice. Now, being around your uncle's sound system and before you moved permanently to New York in '76, I was curious, did you cross paths with or did you befriend any famous Jamaican musicians and singers, or did that really only happen later when you kind of bust or blew up in New York?
Some Twilight Zone business happened in Jamaica at the school I was going, St. Catherine High School, on a basketball court.
Yeah? You were playing basketball? Yeah?
We're on the basketball team. We're on the junior B team and whatnot, A team and C. And then it's coming down just like it is outside right now.
Yeah.
The dust.
Coming down rain. Yeah.
No, not rain, but just it's starting to get dark like that.
Yeah.
And I'm out there with my friends. I think it was Paul Walters, Paul Williams, Aston Lawrence, Garnet Wint. There was a Garnet Wint before there was a Garnet Silk. For real. Yeah. Garnet Wint, I think Clyde Newton and Loxley Smith and maybe Monroe Gordon. I think, maybe Money. So, and it's getting dark, and we doing basketball training, and then through the back gate, because the campus has a far front gate on St. John's Road, and then there's the back gate. There's the back gate with the garbage dump. So we see this tall skeng just a skeng through, you know what I'm saying? We see this skeng coming through the back gate like this. I know you can't see on the recording, but like this. We see a skeng coming through like this.
I'll be able to indicate what you're doing. Yeah.
Dark brown, desert cloth stitched up the middle, right, with the emblem on the ankle, high top, tailor-made lengths with stripes, 1.25 inch cuff. The seam is so sharp, it's like he's wearing 2 swords on his trousers.
I can't imagine who you're going to tell me this is.
He got the striped shirt on, and he got the beret like this or the big tam like this. You don't want to really look, because you don't look at skank. Right. Original skank, right. Original road boy, original Chucky skank, Juby skank. You don't make eye contact. So we bouncing the ball, and I think it was Aston. I think it was Garnet that said, we bound dribbling and said, and Garnet softly said, Dennis Brown that
What? Get out of here, wow.
Really? I don't know who Dennis Brown is, because The only reggae person I know that I sneak and listen to and get to hear down the block from my house, down a few houses down, is Johnny Clark. I'm just getting to learn this Johnny Clark and this King Tubby's dub instrumental album and whatnot.
So because you were young, you were still very young.
No, in the house we was at, no reggae can't play up in there.
Oh wow!
I live with a cop and a school teacher. Go figure. Okay, yeah. So so Garnett says, "Yo, Denny's that dinner." I'm like, okay, cool.
Wow.
So the skank walks up and like I'm kind of sizing the farm fence, which is like a few 100 feet down, like south.
Yeah.
And I'm lining it up because if this don't go right, I'm taking that fence. And I'm already within escape proximity if this guy don't like this shit. So I'm like, and shifting over there, and then I go, Dennis! And you know what the skank Dennis response was?
What? And when you say skank, let me make sure, because I'm gonna have to spell this later. How are you spelling that?
S-K-E-N-G.
Okay.
So when I said, Dennis! His response was, yes, fire. Yes, fire. I go on tour fast forward with Dennis Brown, and I picked the right time to catch the flashback, because it came to me like, hey, buddy, you gotta tell him about this. And it came back like nothing. And when I told him about it, he laughed and said, yeah.
That was me.
That was me, because I do go over there.
That's so dope.
You're not understanding. The shit got me fucked up now because I met the God and didn't know what was about to hit me yet in my little life.
Unbelievable.
You know, understand?
I'm so happy you told me about that.
Jaja.
Wow, thank you.
Jaja, the prince. Me talk to the prince and don't even know say him a the prince.
Unbelievable.
And me's just a little boy.
Unbelievable.
I could cry happy tears and bust me gun right, you know.
You're about to make me cry. Now, listen, Shinehead, when you landed in the Bronx in '76, you witnessed, and I think you said before, you were part, and it's obvious that you were part of the birth of hip hop. And it wouldn't have happened, as we know, without reggae and dub music. What stands out to you during this time in your memory, back before hip hop was even a thing, and you were just b-boying, and you were dominating the New York sound systems? What stands out to you in that time period?
What stands out is when I was learning from the different crews, like the Herculoids, Fantastic Romantic 5, Furious 5, Cold Crush 4, Treacherous 3, people like that. C Divine, the Mastermind, and Justice Allah, the Superstar. When I just met Bambaataa.
So many talented people.
Yeah, you know, when I'm nobody just yet.
And when you, as you say,
I wasn't ripping yet. I was just learning. I was just another guy in the crowd.
And in that time period, my understanding is before you took off as a vocalist and singer and rapper, you were actually first a bass player. True? You were a bass player for various bands in New York. Is that
not various bands in New York? The truth is, when I came up in '76, I got with my cousin Junior and his other friends in my Aunt Dolly's basement up in the Bronx, up in the Burr side.
You were playing bass.
I didn't play bass yet because I was either second or third string. There were first stringers there before me.
Wow, so you weren't even on
so we all jamming in the basement, and when Friday come, we can't wait to get to the basement and pick up an instrument first come, first serve. But the baddest man got the stripes. So the best bass player got to, get that off, and the best guitarist, the best ever, the A team got to get that off first, and then after a while, B team, C team. I was B team, so I had to wait. I had to wait behind Jimmy White. It was Zachary, Jimmy, my cousin Junior, Moochie, David on guitar, Jimmy on bass. Damn, who was on drums? Junior was on guitar, David was on guitar, Jimmy was on bass, I think Moochie was on drums, and sometime he played bass.
And why did you, Shinehead, have such a love for this bass? The bass above all the instruments, such that I'm aware that you even made, I think, in Jamaica back when you were youth, your own bass.
Yeah.
How did you? And then you know you clearly made the bass a big part of what you do. What's your love for the bass about?
That is being in a strict household and hearing something calling out to my soul and my soul calling back out to it.
Wow.
And it's a few houses down and it's being blasted by Tony over here, Donovan Cole over here, whose front door is directly across from the front door of Mr. Ross across the street.
Wow.
And they both opened their front doors in between 73 and 76. And I have witnessed these two guys clash. This young high school dude building up his thing because he was the star boy. Tony was the star boy for our road, for our block, Horizon Park, Spanish Town, Apawalaba Road. Wow. Tony was one of the star boy. He played cricket well, he played soccer well, he ran faster than anybody, and he ride bicycle very fast with style. So, you know, he got skin qualities. Mr. Ross is a postman, big man. And so he decided to take on the big man, the postman, Mr. Ross. Their doors is directly, what man? And they start flinging some King Tubbies and some Johnny Clark, and that bass started coming.
Bass just spoke to you.
You start
it
coming.
Talked to you.
I'm at the fence like this, getting juked by barbed wire, trying to soak up them octaves of bass and wah, 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 like this. That is what fascinated me and got me hooked. Also, one night while I lived in that neighborhood, one lovely Saturday night, the grown-ups left, and we turned the radio on at midnight. And at exactly midnight, you know what I heard?
Yeah.
I heard somebody said, "Dread at the control, yo." And that was my introduction to Mikey Dread at midnight.
Oh, wow. Respect.
At midnight, Mikey Dread dropped Eccleton Jarrett SATA.
Nice.
Do you know what SATA is? Oh my God.
Sata Masagana?
No, SATA Dread.
Wow.
My goodness.
Google that up later.
In that Christian Anglican house, SATA came through the FM radio. I was
Hooked. Nice.
Yeah, and that's what happened.
And I have to ask, did you ever receive, you know, in all these, you were schooled in different places, and I'm just this kind of question is trying to get to the root at your musical ability, which is wildly amazing.
Thank you.
And so my question is, did you receive any formal music training or instruction in school, or were there any relatives or talented musicians in your family? Where does this talent, is what I'm trying to get at, where does it come from?
How did it get nurtured?
How did it get nurtured? Where does it come from?
All right. Aside from flute in the 5th grade. All right.
Flute.
All right. Originally, before that,
Yeah.
while living in St. Thomas, Jamaica, with my Aiken family, there was Uncle Isaiah,
Okay.
aka Uncle Zai, rest in peace, rise in power. See, it wasn't just Uncle Winston.
Another uncle.
Uncle Winston had the sound system, and when it was crab season, him and my older cousin Clive, they would go to crab bushes, Helsha Beach,
There was
and
Clive
come back.
and there's another one, banjo.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And they went with Uncle Winston to Crab Bush.
Okay.
While I was living there, side note,
That was you?
I was always thinking, you know, I hope I get to leave before I get old enough to be asked to go to Crab Bush, because I don't want to go to no Rasclad Crab Bush. You know how many flesh-ripping claws that is? Huh? So anyway, yeah, Uncle Isaiah,
Yeah.
he traveled a lot too, and he went to the U.S., he came to the U.S., and he went to Cuba, and he came back with a drum set. And
That sparked you too.
set it off,
Nice.
right off, yeah. You gotta answer questions too, because we gotta talk about Kingston Club. Uncle Isaiah came back with a pearl blue drum set. I think it was a Ludwig. and older cousin Clive, who I got my first piece of cool from ever in my life.
Your first piece of what?
Cool.
Which is?
Cool factor, cool swag.
Oh, nice, okay.
How to, how to be a guy.
Right.
My first lesson is my older cousin Clive Aiken. I'm Carl Aiken.
Okay.
See, and he was setting up the drum set. We didn't have no guitar yet, but that was cool. Once the drum set got set up, I waited my turn, Steve, and I went in. I went in with one drum pattern that I know I heard at Uncle Winston's house. And I was nice. Asked me to play that now to save my life? Never. I was nice. The childhood brain to hand to foot coordination mechanism was effortless for me. I was gassed. I was amped. Yeah. These drums just, the cymbals, the hi-hat, and then you get to go, what? I lost my mind. Lost my mind. And plus I went and saw the sound system, and now this. Then Clive and banjo. Clive is singing people I never heard of yet, but then I got to know, and then I remember back then, this is what Clive was singing. This, you not real. Clive loved singing Alton Ellis. I ain't know who he was talking about yet. Right. Banjo loved to sing Slim Smith. I didn't know. They was just singing. And then when I leave Jamaica and come to the US and start gathering records,
you knew who those guys were.
Because of them two, because of Clive and banjo. They were singing it first. I ain't know nothing.
Now, when you were in New York, eventually you did connect with the biggest, baddest sound system in the Bronx at that time. Downbeat, the ruler, Tony Screw. Now, you said before that you did an apprenticeship with Tony Screw and with Downbeat. And you said before that Tony Screw was kind of like a martial arts teacher. Now, what I want to ask is more specifically, how did Tony Screw influence and impact your career, and how important was Tony Screw's career in music to the growth of reggae music in New York and the entire United States?
Very, very. But before you get to me and Downbeat, you got to get to me in the area sound systems, because you got to come up first before you go pro.
So let's talk about that.
So you got to come up through the specialist routes off of Davidson Avenue, and you got to come up through the Sanatone from the South Bronx, and you got to come up through the Star Wars from the South Bronx. If you're from the Bronx, there's sound systems you got to train with first before you go to the big boys.
And did you, Shinehead, just roll up on the scene and grab the mic, or how did it work? How did you get your chance to show your skills at these various sound systems such that once you got to Downbeat, they knew who you were?
The single-minded mission is, no one's gonna say, hey, you look like you have talent. Why don't you give it a try? No, you got to walk in,
respect,
beg a talk, or find some way to get the mic, and if you don't get it this weekend, you try again next weekend. And I was on that mission. There's many times I ain't get the mic, and I was cool because I know I was on a very long-term mission.
Wow.
Very long-term. Everything you hear artists talking about nowadays, the older 40-year-olds and 50-year-olds talking about, and the wisdom that just happened upon them, been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, want my money back.
Now, what more, is there anything else before we get to Mr. Tony Screw that you want to make sure you tell me about that time?
Yeah, now, the sound systems that I know of that were ruling at the time, like I said, Sanatone, the Star Wars, Specialist Roots, you had Black Redemption, and
are these mostly in the Bronx, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Stereo 5 was in the Bronx.
Were other parts of, my mom's actually from New York, but were other parts of New York hopping too, or was it really just the Bronx?
Nah, the Bronx wasn't even the Bronx had it going on, but then Brooklyn was bigger, so that's more people, and that's more sounds, and that's more everybody.
But you were mostly focusing on the Bronx?
For that period of time, yes. Because
that's where you were?
That's where I was, and I started on a smaller sound system, and then went to Downbeat, and said, I'd like to try out, and I tried out, and stayed till I left. And Where was I going with this?
Well, you were going to tell me more about the sound systems before we got to Tony Screw.
Well, yeah. With who was it? I think it was Star Wars. It was me and Santa Rankin and a bunch of dudes off of Davidson Avenue, like Mr. Mr. Fitzroy Burke, rest in peace, rise in power. He's one of my longtime close homies, Horace, Jesus. Me and Santa Rankin was the DJs among them and whatnot, and a few other kids, Errol and Mickey, and we would roll out. We rolled out one night to Connecticut in Fitzy's Lancer, in his Alfa Romeo Lancer, whatnot. And we hit Connecticut where this lady named Ruby was keeping a stage show with Rankin Dread.
Wow.
And they sent for us to come play with Specialist Roots. And we rolled up and stringed up. And we took that night.
Beautiful.
We took that night. One night we went on a roll, me and Santa Rankin and our same homies and Abdul and them, and we rolled down to the Ponderosa in Harlem on 145th Street. And when we roll in on, oh shit, Lone Ranger?
Holy cow, wow.
Nicodemus?
Wow.
Mikey Jarrett?
Big talent.
And me and Santa rolled up and just like, and ripped it down. Because apparently they was going on well, and then the vibes died down, and then we busted in the door and turned it right back up.
Beautiful.
One night, Santa Rankin and I, we was on a tour for the night. My main mission starting out was, okay, I've got to keep this up for some time until the name gets established.
Yeah.
So in answer to your question, as a nobody, no name, you have to walk in, grab that mic, and make thy name.
Make thy name.
And that is what I did innumerably.
Make thy name.
Till it stuck.
And it stuck, and then you get to Tony Screw.
And then I go, okay, so who's the next best? Who's the next level? And I was told Downbeat. Did my homework, went to see Tony Screw. Tony Screw came to my house and talked to my mom in regards to me emceeing for his sound system. That's how official it was.
He came to ask her permission?
Yeah.
And of course, Downbeat was called Downbeat because it had all the Studio One records. And it was the baddest sound in the Bronx at that time.
Yes.
Now, what can you say, to somebody who's trying to learn more though, but just Tony Screw himself, and Downbeat, as we mentioned, his sister Carol was on Downbeat. It's her birthday today too. What was he like, and what was his impact on reggae? What is his impact on reggae in general in New York and just generally?
Tony Screw got a music discipline nobody else got, and some selectors shouldn't be called selectors no more. Like a Jawais, Father Jawais, like Father Ilawi, like a Blacka Jed or a Lloydie Coxon.
Wow.
Or a Tony Screw, or a Ayatollah Tony Virgo, who was a selector for Papa Moke, a Mikey African Love or a Rasclad. Those ain't selectors no more. You call those high priests.
Wow.
So let's go back to Sister Carol's birthday, which is today.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure you know about the first. It was one of my first busts was Sister Carol's birthday.
Really?
Yeah. You got that on paper, don't you?
No, I don't have that.
One of my first wickedest busts was Sister Carol's birthday. I had on blue all the way. I had on blue with black leather gloves and my black goose down.
You're stylish.
What? Yeah. But I had the magazine ready though. I loaded the magazine.
Sweet.
And Tony Screw said we going to Sister Carol's birthday. I lost it again.
Enough respect.
I had my head loaded with lyrical magazine, and I had the jip notes. Because every once in a while, we take out that little notebook that back in the days you could see infinitely fine microscopic writings. So I had the jip notes, and I was going in. My first time getting forwards, as we say, they were so electrifying, Steve. All it did was made me more, I'll never forget that.
I don't have that musical talent, so I can't never know that. But that's awesome. I can only imagine.
One of my, I DJ'd till I sweated. I couldn't go outside because silk shirt and pantsless was soaked. I had to chill.
Now, after making a name for yourself and building your reputation on the sound system scene, and then you started to begin your recording career, which of course we have to get to. And this was with Claude Evans' African Love Records label.
Yeah, but we can't go there yet because the downbeat years was some monstrous years.
Yeah.
Because we took on Moke and African Love, the first original Clash of the Titans. Because back in the day, I just came out of the movie theater up in the Bronx, Valentine movie theater, and I saw Clash of the Titans. And these two girls, Ava and Marcia from Boston, the two of the daughters of Mr. Palmer himself, the legendary Mr. Palmer, they wanted to keep this 3-sound clash, didn't know what to call it. I said call it Clash of the Titans. And that's where you had Downbeat, African Love, and Papa Moke clashing together. I was on Downbeat at the time, and so was Santa Rankin, and Tony Screw brought in Sister Nancy and Brigadier.
Wow.
See, and our sound sounded like shit, because we couldn't get our sound, Downbeat was the worst sounding sound out of Downbeat, African Love, and Papa Moke. Wow. But we ended up winning.
Really?
And I was the one that played some of the dubs. Screw couldn't even get in the dance. Anyway, where was I? Yeah. Man, some things happened. So many things I want to tell you before African Love. How did I know African Love? Tony Screw took us to our first NFL dance, me and Shelly Thunder, February 1983. Like this. We go in the dance. Dance is boring, the sounds don't sound right because the ceiling's high, it's a basketball gymnasium, and the zinc is just naked. And it's winter. And they playing their music. Moke is killing African Love, because over on Moke, Louis Rankin, Bobby Culture, Mikey Jarrett, Rankin Joe, Clyfield Marshall.
I love Rankin Joe. Personal favorite.
African Love got his African Love kids, Rebel U, Papa Leo, Sister Donna, like this. And then we in the foyer, and I hear this strange rhythm. Like I felt like somebody tasered me when I heard this. Screw saw the reaction and laughed and said, "Fuck, I down there, bite you." You say, "Ah, touch it." I'm like, "Yeah." And I went up there that night and said, "Tweet."
Which song was this?
The Billie Jean rhythm.
Billie Jean rhythm.
Now, African Love got the sweetest, ruggedest, most ragamuffin-est, rubber dubbiness cut of Billie Jean. You don't call it Billie Jean. You call it Chimchiri, or you call it Fierce One. Everybody, prominent sounds got their cuts.
Yep.
But the African Love one, man, poopa, Jesus. Lucky thing I got a cut. So when it came on and I whistled, the dance lift up. And this is the first time I'm experiencing this and almost didn't know what to do with the forwards.
Where was this again?
East Orange, New Jersey.
And what was the club?
It was a gymnasium. I forgot the name. I don't know the name of the gymnasium. It was a gym. That's community gym center.
I'm glad I'm right at Billie Jean, because the first song that you recorded, I believe, for African Love was Billie Jean, which is a cover of Michael Jackson's, of course, except
Billie Jean, Mama Used to Say, and Lady in My Life.
Right.
2 Michael Jacksons and 1 Junior.
And Billie Jean, of course, has the memorable, she was more like a beauty queen with an M16.
And when I sang that part, the East Orange dance
went wild.
Lift up some more. Because
they went wild.
Yeah, but the thing is, I didn't know the audience. This is the first time I'm meeting these people.
Yeah. So you were surprised by the reaction? Or you didn't realize?
Not only was I surprised by the reaction forward, but then I didn't know this is how rough they were. Because when I got off the mic and went back to the foyer, I seen some dudes talking to Tony Screw like, yo, that you there? Oh, who want to put him on a show and him a go on somewhere? So the dude probably figured I didn't understand Jamaican, and like I stepped to him and like, yo, what you gonna do? And then there was an altercation.
Holy cow!
Nah, real talk. It's not. We're not bragging. We're just telling the truth because man and man know the truth.
Yeah.
OGs know the truth. And some of them OGs, if they're not dead, I'd really like to talk to them before they die. So they could know that I just want to talk to them before they. I would just want to talk to them before they die, because Dennis Brown said life goes in circles, and before the 360's up, I just want to let these OGs know, look, I was green. I'm coming out of an all-boys private Catholic school, and in my house, we don't talk loud. I don't hear nobody act like this. So I just thought it was an act of aggression.
I see.
It's a movie, Steve.
Now, I gotta ask you, had you thought of that, I want to know how you came up with that, because it's so wildly unique and wicked to change the lyric like that. She was more like a beauty queen with the M16.
Well,
did you think about that? How did you craft that?
What happens is when you come to places like New York City and fall, you touch down and you drop in a Brooklyn or a Queens or a Bronx. Part of the culture is you got to learn how to run, learn how to fight. And you gotta have snaps, right. Meaning you gotta know how to tell jokes or do something.
Right.
Do something cool that is also functional that can save your ass in a crisis.
You mentioned.
Let me finish.
Yes.
So with that is you gotta have jokes, and we had a lot of jokes because we watched a lot of comedians and listened to a lot of comedian records. So we had snaps. Your mama this, your mama that. From school to church to the gym to the track, it don't make you had to have snaps and quick thinking, and we always thought like that. We also incorporated that kind of thinking into our school work. I know I did that because I will see a word like democracy or Democrat, and I'll break that up into oh crap. I'll break that up into the mock rats. Because they mock the masses. I do shit like that. That's why 1 and 1 is 11. That's where I go with it. So in order to come up with she was mine like a beauty queen with an M16, well, we live in gun culture also.
Yeah.
So that factors in. And sometimes you have to take serious thing and make joke.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And sometimes
I could go on, but
sometimes that's the best way to convey a message through a joke. Of the things about one of the things that makes that such an awesome cover, and so unforgettable and so dope, actually, is that.
Would you like another beer?
No. But thank you. Is that cowboy themed whistling that you do, and that you've incorporated in many of your other songs too, like the introduction to "Lady in My Life." And since I'm recording you, I would just love it if you could just do that whistle that you do.
The good, the bad, and the ugly?
Yes, sir.
Let me do it to this rhythm right here.
Oh my gosh, so dope. Oh man, Shinehead.
Yes,
how did I'm just. Musically, it's so impressive and it's so unique how you've incorporated the whistling into your style. And I just wanted to ask, is it really just Westerns, like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and Kung Fu movies? And is that how you got that idea, that inspiration to use whistling in your music? Because I don't really know that many other artists who really do that.
Frankie Ball was a whistler. Big Sugar Minott was a whistler. Who did Dock of the Bay?
Otis Redding?
No, a reggae artist.
Oh.
Somebody is a whistler. I think maybe Richie Stevens. But from me, Lickle, I like whistling because and I used to love playing the flute, and I like those high notes. Those sweet, but major key melodies, not minor key melodies. I like fluty stuff, stringy stuff, violin-y, guitar-y stuff, and whistling. But I don't just use it for, like take a liking to movies of violence, i.e. kung fu movies or gangster movies or cowboy movies. It could be anything I hear, as well as I just come up with an original whistling slur. Right. Now, as you talk about the whistling, to further illustrate that it's not just limited to macho-related things, here goes a brief sneak view of what is going to happen. And I still keep it up, but it's not a macho violent, nothing. Check it out.
Dope.
Brand new Peckings flavor. Okay?
That's dope.
That's what's coming next.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what we're going with.
That's dope. Now, Shinehead, both Billie Jean and Lady in My Life, they made it onto your debut album, Rough and Rugged, which is a dope album.
Yeah.
Released your first album. How come Mama Used to Say, which is a very cool song with some cool horns, that never made it onto your debut? And if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if it made it onto any of your subsequent albums.
No.
Mama Used to Say.
Wait a minute. Mama Used to Say is on the other side of Billie Jean.
Mm-hmm.
On the 12-inch.
So it's on that, but it's not on the Rough and Rugged album. So I was just and I was looking to see whether it was on any of your other albums, and I don't really.
No, it is. You just couldn't pick everything, so you just had to choose. Just had to choose from my recollection.
Right. Now, I meant to ask a moment ago about with respect to African Love, Claude Evans. Can you just talk about how you met Claude Evans and the catalyst or the moment that got you to move from doing your thing on the sound system with Downbeat to go into the studio with African Love? Like, what was it that
I observed
shifted your game?
Well, African Love is a Bronx sound system. Downbeat is a Bronx sound system. African Love had more kids on it, like Papa Leo, rest in peace, rise in power. Rebel U, Sister Donna, Ricky Nine. And it was fun over there. Why I went over there. Claude and Mikey, they got tunes. Claude is originally a school teacher. So if they thinking nobody ain't got brains in reggae, Claude's a school teacher. Claude's a math teacher. My ex-manager is a math calculus teacher.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the caliber of management. Yeah. That's what I'm used to. Nothing less. And the man knows tunes and have some cuts that ain't no joke.
Right.
Mikey African Love, he was the engineer, and he also knows and have tunes, and at the time they worked brilliantly together. It looked like both of them kind of had a Gregory Isaac look to them, because they had the big leather cap and the glasses, and they were humble guys, but they were smart guys. And with me and Mikey, we loved to ride bicycle.
Right.
And Mikey had a machine at the time.
Oh yeah?
And Mikey Love and I, we started out one day on Boston Road, and we just riding and reasoning. We just riding and talking, riding and reasoning. And going business with time, and then we look up and say, yo, where were they? When we asked where we was, Boston Road in the Bronx, when we asked where we was, I think it was New Haven or Stamford, Connecticut, one of them.
Wow.
Boston Road.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Those are the type of meditations we used to hold. So Downbeat was a strict big man team, and you know, and it has its place, and it was very good. Over African Love, you got a bunch of kids.
It was fun.
And fun.
I hear you. I understand.
Yeah.
Now, I mentioned when I arrived, my good friend, legendary sound engineer and dub pioneer, Scientist. Scientist told me that he remembers that the first time he came to California was on a tour with you and Ross Claude.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know if you remembered that tour too.
Yeah, Sleepy Wonder and Whirl Ago.
Wow.
I think. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yes, yeah.
You guys were just young guys at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Rough and Rugged album is such a remarkable album. In addition to the songs I mentioned, it has some songs I can remember singing that were and still are so massive. Songs like Who the Cap Fit, Nofi Chat, Golden Touch. I mean, I was singing Golden Touch to my wife earlier. These are classics in my view. Now, undoubtedly, part of the reason that Rough and Rugged album, it turned out so well, it has to do, I would think, with it being recorded at the very famous Harry J studio in Kingston. True?
Yes, this is true. This is true. First time I went out to Harry J studio that morning, I saw. That's the first time I'm seeing Early B, Junior Captain, Junior Divas.
Wow, they were just there at the studio.
Yeah, they came out early. That's how it was back in the day.
Wow. Now, was it Claude Evans who decided that your debut album should be recorded there, and how did that happen? How was it that your debut album got recorded in Jamaica at this very famous studio?
That was all Claude.
Wow.
That's where he wanted it to happen.
Respect. And he made it happen.
Yeah. That was solely, exclusively Claude's doing.
And how many days and or studio sessions did it take at Harry J's for you to record the Rough and Rugged album?
That I don't remember.
What do you remember about that experience and the vibes of that studio?
I remember trying to be too careful singing, is what I remember. It was a new experience for me. I like the warmth of it. And I would belt out some Norfolk chat and some Rough and Rugged, but the singing, I didn't want to mess it up. So I was
being too cautious.
Yeah. Secretly, I don't think I was that confident, and I didn't want to mess it up and croak. So I was real gentle with it.
But it still came out dope.
Give thanks.
So, in your interview now with Muscle for Two Line Music Hut, you said that the Chain Gang, which is also definitely a personal favorite of mine in high school, which appears on your sophomore album, Unity, on Elektra Records, that this was inspired by Johnny Osborne's song, I'm on the Move. And I think that you said you were at the sound system when African Love dropped Johnny Osborne's song and you chimed in the rhythm, right? And then Chain Gang that's kind of how that came. Is that right?
We in Reggae Lounge, African Love playing, and then draw, I'm on the move, on the right track.
Great.
So I just interject in where Johnny would say, moving on the right hand. Okay. I just said, I might act crazy, but I don't smoke crack. During the vocal, you know? And oh shit, that was a forward right there, so I had to pull. I ain't know what to do now. I'm like, shit, pull up selector, pull up his. This song is. I was only playing.
This song is.
And got a forward.
This song is so dope, and it's regularly played on Yo MTV Raps. Did you come up with the whole brilliant concept of the? Now I'm talking about the video for a minute of Chain Gang. Did you come up with the whole brilliant concept of the subway train being the song's focus, the video for Chain Gang?
Subway, Chain Gang. Yeah, I had some input.
And the lyric,
costume wise.
the lyric, life just wouldn't be the same if you have to live without the subway train. And what I would describe that lyric is kind of an ironic, understated allusion to a rat race with everyone having to rely on the subway to get to the 9 to 5. It's so genius. So I wanted to ask you about it and to ask whether you had fun making the video.
Yeah, you said a genius, but hear the realness.
Yeah?
I used to live on Noble Avenue.
Yeah.
Noble Avenue and Westchester Avenue in the Bronx.
Right?
When I moved there, I heard this thundering noise every few minutes. And then I realized there's a train, an elevated subway train, number 5.
Oh, wow.
And that's gonna roll by forever as long as you live here, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Wow.
So that helped me with my cool also.
Yeah.
Because if you can think and sleep through them wheels,
Yeah, we could do anything.
we could do this. So that has a lot to do with why I made that song. Because
thank you.
I'm on Noble Avenue and Westchester Avenue.
With that train.
Yeah, and so you had to manage that. I had to manage that.
You managed it and you used it in your art brilliantly. Now, Give Me No Crack. This is it's also on the Unity album. And that too is also it's a song that I'm reminded of from my youth whenever I hear your name. The song's message is patently obvious, but was there anything going on in your life that made you, other than maybe a disgust for crack cocaine at that time, why was it that you came up with that song?
Because...
Or was there something personal, or was it just a creative thing?
Nah, it wasn't personal, but it was social, because dudes I know in the neighborhood, they slinging.
Yeah.
And then there's a joke where in the crew, somebody in the crew is slinging, but somebody in the crew is smoking. So the rest of the crew start clowning on this one dude because I guess you could call it a hypocrisy or a strange twist, but don't get high on your own supply.
Right.
And somebody ended up doing that, so now the joke is on him. And it's 100% cruelty.
Yeah, it is.
Scene, so there's jokes flying over the head, and only certain men get the jokes, and the guy who the joke is on don't know the joke is on him, you know, and then he'd go away and come back cleaned up, and then he'd fall off again, and straight drug infested neighborhood like anywhere else. Plus, where I lived at, around the corner in a bigger building, that's where Amadou Diallo got shot.
Many times.
Yeah.
For a wallet, I think he had a wallet or a cell phone.
Right. And then up the block, you got my peoples doing their thing. See? So I know the good guys and the bad guys.
Did you?
And the same crew that end up laughing at who got high on their own supply, they all end up getting destroyed.
Wow.
And are no more, unfortunately.
Sad.
See where I went with this?
Yeah. Now, did you know, Shinehead, that in November of 2021, so just a little over a year ago, PointsHistory.com published an academic, scholarly study of Give Me No Crack. Did you know that?
Nope.
Well, I'll have to share the article with you later. But the article is titled Dancehall Pastiche and the Piecing Together of the Coming of the Crack Narrative. It's written by a gentleman named E.O.N. Cannon. I think I'm saying his name right. Now, there are two assertions there are two assertions made in the article I'd like to run by you to see what you think about their accuracy, seeing as it's your song. Okay? The first assertion by this guy says, he says it concerns how the song is structured. And the article claims that Give Me No Crack is structured by the use of three main sources. First, an allusion to Public Enemy's Bring the Noise. Second, The author asserts that the dated refrain, "I'm real cool, I chill to the max, I might act crazy, but I don't smoke crack," that derives from dancehall pioneer Johnny Osborne's,
Yes.
right, on
Yes,
the right
and
track. So
yes,
that one,
and
that
yes.
one we just talked about. And so you can say yes to the Public Enemy too, right?
Yes.
Then he says
Bass.
third.
Because that was also one of the jokes on the block. Bass, how much can you smoke?
Oh wow.
So they said that as an innuendo to the dude or dudes who fell victim to what they were selling.
Wow.
So now we didn't say bass, how low can you go? The inside joke was bass, how much can you smoke? And if a guy caught the joke, then it's gonna be problems. Cause yeah, he's smoking, but now he knows we clowning him, so it's about to be some shit.
Third, yeah, I see that. The piece asserts that the gloomy interlude voice that mythologizes crack's arrival. The part where it says
Marty Robbins, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so this is I'm so happy you say that because it caught my attention because I recently interviewed not too long ago in December DJ Dennis Alcapone and legendary DJ Dennis Alcapone.
Yeah.
His initial stage name was El Paso after his sound system, which was also named El Paso.
Yeah.
And that's a reference to a Marty Robbins song. So I was curious because I'm not really. I told Dennis Alcapone I'm not a big country western guy. But were you at all? You know, is that kind of also too how that Marty Robbins?
I'm living in Jamaica and it was in my way. There was nothing I could do about it.
That song was playing.
The house I lived in St. Catherine Horizon Park, I'm trying to tell you, if it ain't Marty Robbins, it's Pat Boone.
Wow.
It's Brooke Benton.
I was playing in the house.
It's Nat King Cole.
You were going to be listening to that.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's in the way. It's nothing you
so
can do.
So you made use of it.
Yeah.
Nice. Respect.
Look. When I was little,
yeah,
the thing that kids hate the most, that is not fun, are chores.
True.
I am the weirdo that make chores just cleaning up shit and putting shit. That's fun for me. So now I have nothing to do that's a drag. All my life is fun, including the bullshit, because I made it fun. I convinced myself that chores are fun. Painting my chairs, painting my floor, cleaning my tables, fixing the records. It's fun. Janitor shit's fun to me.
Now, the last point on this article on pointshistory.com that it makes that I want to run by you, it says that the song "Give Me No Crack," that it quote, this is the guy writing, quote, sneaks in a Rastafarian reference to cannabis as a sign of civilized xenophobia against the all-alienating bass pipe, an illusion reinforced, and this is the part I really want to ask about, because I listened to it a million times to try to understand this. He says this is an illusion reinforced by the echo of marijuana in the song's rapid refrain of "Don't give me that, don't give me that crack." And I've listened to the song so many times, but I can't pick out or pinpoint the echo of marijuana in the song's refrain like this gentleman is claiming in this article. So I wanted to ask you whether in fact that's true. He's saying, I guess, that you can hear either marijuana or something in the song.
Don't give me that,
Right.
It make you give me your pants, give me your shirt, give me your shoes and socks.
Right.
It was a cold and rainy Sunday morning. And to the very end of the song, I said nothing about weed.
I have no idea. So sometimes things get written about music, and I love to just ask the source about it. And I'm no disrespect to this gentleman who wrote the article, but
that's the only part.
That's the only part you're not.
That's the only. I didn't say what to replace it with. I just said don't give me no crack.
Right, and there's no real allusion to marijuana.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
All right. Well, I'm glad I asked. Now, "Give Me No Crack" and "Chain Gang," the last two hit songs we've been talking about, they appeared on your Unity album, which was your first of a few albums for Elektra Records.
Yes.
And is it accurate that Raoul Roach, son of legendary drummer Max Roach, that he was the executive at Elektra, who is the one who heard you, I guess, somewhere and called you up and connected with you and signed you to that contract? How did that work?
Yeah, Raoul Roach, Tyrone Wallace, Claude Evans, Elaine Valentine, Nancy Jeffries, Barry Roberts, Beth Jacobs, and Primus.
Wow, all these people were involved.
Sylvia Rohn, and Bob Krasolowski.
All these people were involved in getting you signed to a label.
Them and more, yes.
Wow.
Them and more. That's what I remember. And I say that deliberately because I like to wait years when folks think I forgot where I come from.
And give them their props.
Oh, you mean? For the court's records and the clerk's minutes. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I'm just curious, how was it that they got his attention, or how was it that, did he hear you somewhere, or did he see you somewhere?
Raoul put his ear to the streets because he was a young guy too.
Yeah.
And Raoul Roach is gonna go to clubs and he's gonna go to gigs and he's gonna look under rocks and mailboxes for this talent because that's what good A&Rs do.
Nice. Now, after that, Elektra would go on to produce almost all the rest of your full-length albums, including your third album, The Real Rock in 1990, then Sidewalk University in 92, then Trodden in 94, and then though I think that one was also produced together with African Love.
Yes.
It was like a joint production. And then your last full-length album in 99 was Praises, was released by BP Records, right? And I understand that you are either soon, I'm hopeful, not only do I understand, but I'm hopeful, I understand that you are soon, sometime soon, to release, and you're currently working on, a brand new Shinehead album, and this is an album that's going to be on all Treasure Island rhythms.
Yeah! Yes, indeed! Speaking of which, funny you should say that. Oh my God!
Yeah?
Well, what do you know? Some good old Treasure Island stuff. Gee, what have we here? A tribute to Junior Murphy? Nah! Let me hear some more times to hear that. William Rice Slater! Going to a theater near you, to a sound system near you. Operation Pinstripes and Couplings! Now let me pick up Chris Peckings and the crew, Buttahfly, Flair, Lindsay.
Respect.
We need some more. Coming to a sound system near you. Operation Couplings and Pinstripes.
Oh man, beautiful.
Oh, you mean? I don't know. I can't get old. I don't know. Before the show begins, my praise. All right. Now you will let me. That's where we go.
Now Shinehead. Granted the Treasure Isle rhythms are so dope. But why do you favor them? Why is it Treasure Isle for you on this next new album?
I'm getting older.
Yeah.
My time is shorter. And I am trying to cling and hold on to some last piece of authenticity. I mean, I could clap rhythms, but
there are a lot of different studios though from back in the day. Why Treasure Isle?
well, because I haven't done it
next
yet.
album.
Because I haven't done it yet.
Right.
And how much realer can you get than a Treasure Isle or a Studio One or a High Note or a Bunny Lee?
Now,
how much more authentic can you get than that? So I want to go back. I'm going home. I even dress like the music I make. That means tailor-made slacks. That means dress shoes. That means the striped shirt. That means I'm going back, Steve. I'm stepping in. I'm shape-shifting back into the matrix.
Respect.
So I look the part. I sound the part. I live the part. I am the part.
Now, did you have to get, again, the lawyer side kicking in, did you have to get permission from anyone to use these Treasure Isle?
Peckings labels has legal access. That's why I'm doing it.
Boom! That answers it.
And I was supposed to link with Chris Peckings, according to Chris Peckings, like 20 years ago. Because Chris Peckings was introduced to me by African Love from a long time.
Not everyone,
by Tony School from a long time.
Many people who know reggae will know, but not everyone. Yeah, that Peckings is a very famous, well-established, giant reggae label in the UK, very respected.
So why not?
Long history. And as you said, yeah, why not? And now I'm going to ask about these singles that you have, Never Had a Dream Come True, and The Makings of You.
Right.
That I believe will be on the first new album.
Yes.
And, but first, just as we were discussing record labels and record companies, will that album also be on the Peckings label? The entire album will be on the Peckings label?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you have a tentative release date for this new album?
No.
Why not?
Because I haven't finished them yet. There's real life. There's a thing called Grand Theft Uber. Yeah.
So it takes some time to put this new album out.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And have you thought of a name yet for the new album? But not yet. You don't want to name it yet.
Nah, but I have this thing in my head about cufflinks and pinstripes.
So it might be
because it's not Boogie Yaga jeans and sneakers, t-shirt music. See, that's why I said, how much more authentic can you get than that? Let me try that for life's sake, because nowadays, for the most part, bullshit is being made. Let's not kid ourselves.
By the way, if you want to go that far, you know what Ross Michael told me the last time I saw him? He said, Stephen, when are you going to put on the Rhodes? You know how Ross Michael wears Rhodes? So he told me I need to take off. He said I shouldn't be wearing jeans and sneakers, I should be wearing Rhodes.
Because the man is a priest. I told you, high priest, right in our midst. We're going to cry when he's gone. Oh. That's my pastor. I haven't seen him in like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
But that elder is the closest thing to my dad that keeps me sane and dignified. Elder Ross Michael is one of the reasons my brain is working halfway decent this day. He's one of the reasons my brain is working halfway. I don't say nothing about it. I could say more people. I could say Big D down the block.
The only thing I'll say about that is that I published an article recently saying that Ross Michael is the first person to convince me to read the Bible from front to start, front to end. That I'd never been convinced by anyone to do that, but he convinced me. And this is only in the past year, and it's because of Ross Michael. So I'll just say that. But now, to get back to you though, because these songs and this Treasure Isle album is such an awesome idea, and I can't wait for it to drop. The Never Had a Dream Come True, which you released in 2020, it's a cover of Stevie Wonder's song from 1970 that was also sung by Michael Jackson. And your take kind of amalgamates, mashes up their versions of that song, true?
So guess what I was thinking?
Yeah?
When that came to my head? I'm thinking, this Stevie Wonder song, and I'm thinking, what would Stevie, Frankie Paul, and Michael Jackson do with this together? And when I put it in my head and try to utter the sound, it was too much to do that day.
Excuse me, bless you.
Suffice to say, it was some psycho shit. It was too powerful to do that day. It was emotionally challenging.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's really
I had to leave it alone for a few days.
Yeah.
Talk to Buttahfly about it. And cause it had me in tears.
It's a beautiful song. And I love your take on it. Much, much respect.
You understand what the bug out is? Psychologically?
Yeah.
Why the older actor, what's his name, that played the Joker, said to the younger new actor, when you go over in that zone, don't stay too long. And he stayed too long.
That happened to you.
And died. The last guy that played the Joker, he was told by the previous OG, when you go over there, don't stay too long.
You stayed too long with that song.
I didn't, but I didn't stay long enough to get hurt. I stayed long enough for it to jerk me emotionally and physically, and I had a chance to escape, regroup, and come back stronger for this notion, because it's not me. The notion was very powerful to me. It may not mean shit to you. You could just flick that shit with your finger. Well, it's relative, and it was too strong for me that day. So I had to fall back and come back a few days later and be stronger for it.
Shows you the power of music.
Right, because in my head, it's Stevie, Michael, and Frankie Paul is what I'm seeing in my head. Just vibing, and I'm watching them. This is what's going on in my head. And I'm like, if they would do it together,
how would they do it?
How would they do it? And I tried to do it, and the frequency was it brought me to tears. It had me bugging out.
Wow.
I want my mama. I want my mama. Yo, I want my mama.
I like this. The song is so dope, and when I listen to and when I watch the very, very chill official video for that song, where it's a day trip, and everyone needs to go and Google this up, go on YouTube, you can watch Shinehead's official video for that Never Had a Dream Come True, and there's a day trip that Shinehead takes to the beach. There's some nice scenes, you're singing with the ocean behind you, and you're there with Buttahfly, and your sister, Starfire, and your brother-in-law, Shango.
Tracks,
and there are just some very mellow beach visuals that are kind of interspersed with images or clips of your career at its peak. And then it's so cool because you have clips of the Jackson 5 and a young man watching the Jackson 5, and I know from reading about you that you've always said that just looking at the Jackson 5 cover when you were young was one of the things that made you
at Uncle Winston's house
get into this business, because they looked like they were inviting you to come along.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was amazing that a lot of people might watch that music video and not understand. The reason why I wanted to bring it up is because a lot of people might watch that video and not understand the depth of kind of the thinking behind that little clip of the young man watching them, because it so applies to your dream of being a musician. So I just thought, my mind was blown when I watched the official video, and I kind of thought about it a little bit.
Every child is trying to
thought about this.
Yeah, every child is trying to find themselves, and I was searching too, and then I see 5 little boys that look like me having a whole lot of fun, and you just want to go into the picture.
Yeah, and you did. You did not into a group, but in your own way. Now, in 2021, you released another wicked single, a cover of Curtis Mayfield's "The Making of You." I think it's so wicked, and again on a Treasure Isle rhythm. I really dig this song, and your rendition is very soulful, very expressive. I believe you said that also you plan to make some remakes of some Marvin Gaye songs too, to put on the album, or am I wrong about that?
Oh yeah.
Cool.
I'm Your Man rhythm. Oh, that gets the brother, what? What's going on? Ooh. Oh yeah. On Treasure Isle? Now, possibly I'm not the first to think of it.
Yeah.
and I'm probably not the first to go there, but no one's gone there in a long time. And reggae music being in the shitty state it is now, you need to go back to the drawing board and then come back up all over again. Nobody's studying the old lessons because that's too old and boring and square and corny. But it is the beginning. So I'm going to go back to the beginning and then come up to the, as they would say, up to the time. By the way, side note, there are now millennium rhythms that I'm actually on.
Sweet.
And whether it's singing or DJing, I was told I still got the 19-year-old, 18-year-old hooked.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Produced by Bada General. Meeting Bada General for the first time. Let's see what me and Bada General do. Well, this is what me and Bada General cooked up.
Shinehead is at his computer,
In our interview.
and he's summing it up.
Moments tonight you make them and you take them. These magic moments. Boots on the ground.
Yeah, man, we're getting young up. All right. Yeah. Produced by Bada General. Froggy!
Wow.
Shinehead's 27, 30 years old right now.
That sounds dope, man.
This next rhythm, the only artist on this next rhythm is Vibes Cartel. But during the World Cup season,
Yeah.
we find the appropriate lyrics to put on this rhythm. Why do I have this rhythm? Because I'm an asshole.
Wow.
Arsenal, Manchester United, Lions Club. What, you thought it was just one drop? Treasure, oh hell no.
This goes out to you. This goes out to you.
System is wicked.
Is a dance alive for us? I got jokes. I think I'll have one of these. Sure you don't want another one?
I'll take another one.
Let me get you a brand new.
Put the ass up on jump for the bloody sweat dumps and strutting. You never been a black early jammy, John Ross, you know what I got was some arrows up on me. Turn on selectors, never seen a record in your life. So how the fuck hold your ass, go try to come live with the drums up.
Brand new. So this is what I've been up to.
Sounds dope, man.
Thanks. And I don't write anymore. I don't write anymore.
Would you say that? What do you mean?
You get a notion, go behind the microphone, your opening line must be strong and powerful, because that'll amp your ego, and then your creativity will take it from there.
You're going right where I want to go next. You're going right where I want to go next. You actually reading, this is so shocking actually, Shinehead, because you're reading my fucking mind actually. No, because last summer I was incredibly blessed because I interviewed Johnny Osborne. And more recently, as I mentioned to you, Dennis Alcombe. And they told me, both of them, that, and Johnny Osborne, I titled his interview, "The Rhythm Tells Me What to Say." So this is exactly where you're, and I raised this to Dennis Alcombe too. And I said, what's up? Do you ever write? How do you create these?
I used to write.
And I saw, and so I'm so happy you raised this, because I saw an interview that you did, or I read an interview that you did, and it seemed like you went the opposite style, kind of like me, I'm gonna confess, because as you can see, I don't do it spontaneous. My shit, I'm ready. Because
I used to be like that. I used to be just prepared like you.
I want to be ready to go spontaneous if I need to, but if I don't have this,
you gotta have blueprint.
But so I was so baffled by Johnny Osborne and quite frankly Dennis Alcombe, because they have some songs now, like if you ever heard, if you can recall, like Dennis Alcombe, Mosquito 1, Mosquito 1, Mosquito 2, Mosquito Jump in a Hot Callaloo.
Yeah.
This shit is so I was just so amazed that they just came up spontaneously, and I would have thought that the songwriting, there are some people like Nadine Sutherland, who I've interviewed, and some other people who have said that they write their lyrics down. They write. And you were a person that I thought was, and so right now you're kind of saying something to me a little bit different. That
I used to write, and I evolved into the phone, and then I just evolved into going straight. I'm not the only person that can do it. A lot of rappers do that. They don't write. Jazzo don't write. Big L don't write.
So I think I've also seen somewhere where you explain this a little bit, maybe, where you called it head talk.
Head talk?
Like a DJ being able to go off of
yes.
Being able to creatively come up with the next lyric.
Yes, and think that quickly in a live freestyle, because a live freestyle is the fastest of freestyles. A studio freestyle, you can take your time and just sew it up bar after bar. You can just sew it up like that. So that's what I've evolved into.
Wow. Unbelievable. So yeah, I wanted to ask you. I can't believe that you raised it at the exact same time.
Hey, when your friends are Keith Murray and Cannabis and Stitchy Don and Broadway, and when your friends are people like that, you're either going to evolve or die.
True.
My friends consist of Joe 90 from Java Nuclear.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, Shinehead, in August of 2020, The Gleaner, so Jamaica's biggest newspaper, they published an article noting the release of Never Had a Dream Come True, and that you had a new album, as we were just talking about, coming out with a Treasure Isle flavor, they say.
Yes.
And in that article, Shinehead,
Rocksteady, I'd say.
In that article, there's mention of a period of time in your life. I think about a decade where you kind of dropped out of the music scene for a bit. And just to confirm the accuracy of what the Gleaner printed about that, they wrote that you, Shinehead, summed up your perceived years-long absence in less than a minute. That you said it started with a move to Fort Lauderdale on All Fool's Day in the year 2000, after which you went quiet for a couple of years and got married. And then they wrote that you started singing again in 2012, And finally, they noted that your reemergence got a big boost when the Marley family started to invite you to perform in 2014 on their Jamrock cruise. And that you've been, and my understanding is you've been performing on that Jamrock cruise ever since. Is that, first of all, did they sum it up well in terms of that period of time? I guess it was from the late 90s to maybe, sometime towards 2010, 11.
Yes, they did.
Okay. I just wanted to see, because you never know sometimes with newspapers. Now,
yes, they did. Now, I performed once on the Jamrock cruise, but most times, Buttahfly and I are on the cruise as Kingston 12. So,
okay.
We're Kingston 12, the sound system.
Running the sound system, okay.
Now,
because I've seen numerous clips are available on YouTube of you singing. There's you with Cindy Breakspear. There's you
Barrington Levy, Papa Levi, Papa Michigan.
People need to Google these things up, but and Reggae Vibes will probably insert some clips of them. But but you've been on that cruise a couple times, and there's clips of you. That's one of the things that really kind of got you back, I guess, into the music scene. Is that accurate? And also, did the Marleys just call you up, or did you happen to have a friendship, a connection? Did you already personally know any of the Marley sons or the Marley family?
Before the cruise, before I was asked to be on the cruise, and I think maybe a year or two before I met Buttahfly, the Marley's godfather, Gilly Dredd of Miami, asked me to come down to Miami to do something.
Wow.
So I went down there and played for them, and I brought the rubber dub.
So they remember that.
They remember that when they were tots, but it is also something they would like to learn, and it is the real shit, and why not have it? And they chose to have it, and I brought it for them.
Awesome.
Because of their godfather, Gilly Dredd.
Awesome.
Is how Steven and them got to witness the Roboto business scene. Then after that cooled off, and then by the time 2012 comes, I meet Buttahfly, and by the time 14 comes, I got on the Jamrock cruise because of JFX was supposed to be the man DJing, and he couldn't make it. So Buys One, rest in peace, rise in power. Buys One had it so that I don't know where this guy got my number. So it was Buys One, JFX, and Dan Dalton.
Got in touch with you. And basically,
JFX told me he couldn't make it, so I gotta go. So Buys orchestrated that. Next thing you know, Dan Dalton's calling me.
Nice.
And
that's the Marley guy.
Manager.
Right.
Seen, and we're talking for hours. We're just reasoning, and he says, yeah man. Steve them say, yo, Shines, him have the team.
Nice.
Him have the team.
Right.
That robot.
They're smart. They're smart.
I'm the team. And you see, since the cruise started, we've always been invited. Give thanks,
And in addition to the success of your Jamrock Cruise performances and being on the Jamrock Cruise, I understand that another thing that kind of led to you re-emerging, whatever you want to call it, coming back on the scene.
Don't call it a comeback. I've been there for years. I wasn't gonna let that go. Come on, man. Me live America, brethren. I'm not gonna let that go. You crazy.
But another thing that brought you back, as it were, was when Richard O'Brien, or King Richard, the owner, I believe, of the original Kingston 12 Hi-Fi sound system passed. And then my understanding is that King Richard's family called you and to let you know that King Richard is going to give you all his record collection because he was convinced that you, Shinehead, would keep the music alive. Is all what I just said accurate?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
And Shinehead, I've only lived in California and been a reggae journalist, reggae historian the last few years since I retired from practicing law. So I don't know that much or anything really, except for what I kind of perused on your website about King Richard O'Brien as much, and I don't really know as much as I should, and his importance to reggae in California. Can you please educate me and everyone who might later listen or watch?
King Richard and Tony Johnson,
Yeah.
I'd say, started reggae on the West Coast.
Wow. Period.
And King Richard didn't have Kingston 12 sound system. The O'Briens had the Kingston 12 Club.
Where now was that in L.A.?
That was in L.A. and it used to it used to move around.
Oh.
It used to be out in Santa Monica, on Broadway and Santa Monica, and it moved around from the 70s till the 90s. It was an elongated club, I think, if my memory serves me correctly, kind of long, like this warehouse right here. And I remember going there, but I didn't live here yet, so I didn't really get.
You're still in New York.
I was still in New York. I didn't get it yet. And so when I moved out here and then started vibing with Richard, then I got it.
Wow.
Because you have Kitty Rankin of Fergo Digital, and you have King Richard, and you got me. And I'm mad for music. And Kitty is madder. But I've seen nobody mad for music like King Richard.
Wow. Cool.
King Richard is losing weight, and we gotta hold him up. And King Richard just wants to find a venue to play some music.
King Richard is obviously, I don't want to say obvious, but he's Jamaican.
Yeah, the family's Jamaican. The O'Briens are Jamaican.
Okay.
Like Jamaican English.
But they've been living in California. Been living in California for a long time.
Yeah. I still speak to some of the brothers. His brother, especially his brother Raymond, I speak to every now and then. So, King Richard loved music so much. When he was in the hospital, we go visit King Richard and we bring the 45s because he got a turntable.
Oh my gosh, in the hospital.
Holy
cow.
And we running tunes and we moneying some weed.
Unbelievable. Respect.
Yeah, man, Sounds of the Wise. King Richard said this is Sounds of the Wise. And I always say that forever. The binding words, Shinehead will keep this thing going, are the binding words. Because there are days I don't feel like doing it.
But you remember that.
The binding words, Stevie, the binding words, man. Because when I go see Richard now, what I'ma tell him if I fuck this up?
Right.
What I'ma tell a Tony Johnson? What I'ma tell all those who passed when we buck up? What I'ma tell them if I fuck this up?
I hear you. It's hard. The elders looking her down on
Right.
Now, Shinehead, we've been talking for close to 115 minutes.
See.
And I again want to thank you for your time and for having me here. For today, I have just 2 or 3 last questions.
Yes.
But I'm hoping, now that we've connected, that we'll cross paths again, and I'll get to ask you about more of your other dope songs that I dig.
Look forward to it.
There's some songs like I just meant to just shout them out because I sing these songs like in the showers. So World of the Video Game. I just called to say I love you off the Sidewalk University album. The Unity, the song and the entire album Unity, Sidewalk University album. Plenty more tunes of yours too that at some point in the future I hope that we can dig into a little bit more. I have to ask, I read an article in Reggae Vibes titled Shinehead. This was recently, I read it recently, but the article came out last summer. And the article was titled Shinehead hit Central Park, New York Summer Stage. And it said it was the first time you were going to be performing in Central Park in over 30 years. The people like Slick Rick, Wayne Wonder, and more were there as well.
Yeah, Red Fox was there.
How was it? How'd it go?
It was a blast.
Nice.
I brought 2 Biggie monsters on stage, and I brought an artist named Brooklyn.
Biggie Monsters?
Yeah, Biggie Monsters. I brought this female artist named Brooklyn on stage. She did very well. And these 2 Biggie Monsters, one of them name is Prayer. He lives in the Bronx.
Yeah.
It's a Belizean cat, and this Jamaican cat is a selector for Capricorn sound system. His name is Stitchy Dunn. When they talk, it's effortless Christopher Wallace. when they rap, it's worse.
Wow.
I brought them on
Wow.
at Central Park.
And people loved it.
Rip! Wow!
Awesome.
And yeah, it was a blast. Screechy Don was there, and then a cypher popped off with Stitchy Don, myself, Keith Murray, and some other kids backstage. It was a blast. Uncle Ralph was there.
Wow.
Ralph McDaniels. Sir Ralph McDaniels.
Dropping lots of names.
Was there when security's walking up to me and telling me, yo, I remember when you came through our block when we was little, and you came through and took the soccer ball out, and we just juggling like nothing, jerk chicken over there, you know, marinating and whatnot, sound system around like, yo, and these is big men talking to me. I'm like, damn, I feel like a Highlander.
Shinehead, you said there's a new album on the horizon that we should watch out for. That's big, big, big exciting news. What other festivals, shows, musical projects do you have planned in 2023 that all the Shinehead fans should watch out for?
Well, when we get it together and strengthen up again, I look forward to root sound clashes like, because we were supposed to have scientists, but we had to postpone that. I look forward to that. I look forward to going again to maybe Harambe Festival. I look forward to going up to the Reggae Village.
Nice.
Stuff like that. And basically, I hope the phone rings. We'll be doing Reggae Sunday Reggae School here at 121 East 18th Street, downtown Los Angeles, Buttahfly and I, Kingston 12I5. We used to do every Sundays, but it wore us out, so now we're doing main events. So when it's time for a main event, we will be blasting on platforms and going live and promoting and advertising and stuff. As far as a tour or dates that I have in the future,
I'd love to see you perform live. I would love to.
Well, me too, but I don't have any as yet. I look forward to having some.
Yeah,
keep
me posted.
Yeah, if not, make my own.
Yeah, keep me posted on that too.
We got the space and the facility.
I'll
so
come.
yeah, yes, I certainly will. Certainly will.
Now, Shinehead, my last question. Before I turn off my recorders.
Yes.
Is this. You have many, many fans worldwide, including myself. What final message to conclude this interview do you want to impart to all your fans? If you want to take a minute, you can. But I also wanted to say, as you ponder what your final message would be, give thanks, Shinehead, so much respect.
Thank you.
And until the next time that we talk, bless up. But please, can you tell us what's your final message?
In this world of instant gratification, where everything is right here because of the phone, I suggest to every man, every woman, every boy, every girl, to see about your identity and maintain it, while not infringing upon the identity of others. All you gotta do is be considerate, because if I'm doing some fuckery to you, Steve, and you don't like it, and you do it back to me, I'm gonna get the point and stop, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've heard this time and time again.
True.
Seen? And folks, remember, it's not what you wear, it's how you wear it. It's not where you live, it's how you live in it. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. And when you visualize, it'll materialize. This is Shinehead, Root Skywalker, Bronx Sinatra, signing off.